One of the key ways that medicine and understandings of the body and health and illness differ between the world I grew up in here in the US and the worlds that I have come to know in Nepal is about the boundaries or the lack of boundedness of our bodies. That for the Tibetan doctors that I work with, but also for the other people that I interact with, there is a sense that what is happening internally is also a reflection of and deeply in relation to what is happening in what we would call the environment, but that is conceived of in very different ways. It has to do with the idea of the elements of earth, air, fire, water, and space at work in us and at work in the world, and that combined with a Buddhist sensibility that our mind and what we do with our mind and how we understand our mental and emotional processes also can create spaces of sickness and also possibilities for healing. That was also something that I carried away from my time in Nepal, not only with experts, not only with traditional doctors, but also from many of the people that I just got to know. There was this deep understanding in a way that's taken, I would say, Western psychiatry a long time to get to understand the relationship between the body and the mind. Sometimes people sort of refer to our Cartesian legacies and this idea that I think, therefore I am, and that the mind and the body are separate, and think that other cultures or other ways of viewing that relationship sort of get rid of that distinction, say there is no difference between the body and the mind. And that is actually not at all what happens. It's that there's an articulation in beautifully clear terms of what that connection is and how the relationship works between body and mind that I think we have a lot to learn from. I definitely found that there is a sensibility of being responsible for your own health or well-being. At the same time, I'm living and working in places where the forces of everything from poverty to migration patterns to infectious disease are also at work. And so I think one of my greatest challenges, but also one of the greatest joys about being a medical anthropologist, is reconciling the world as a both-and place. That you can have a sense that the reason that you are sick or the reason that your child died, in the biggest sense of the term, might have to do with that being's karma or the space in which they occupy in a cycle of life in a community. And at the same time, that it can also be because there's not a clean water source, or because the woman worked way too hard in the fields during her pregnancy. And I think one of the things I always try to impart to my students when they come in to study all those other ways of thinking about health and illness is that it's not just that someone is traditional in their thinking or somehow spiritual in their understanding about why something goes wrong or why someone is ill, but that exists alongside a real deep understanding of the structural reasons or even the political reasons why someone might suffer and die or become ill and get better.